The year was 1898, and the echoes of the Spanish-American War had just faded. Spain had surrendered its long-held colonies, including the Philippines, to the rising power of the United States. But as one colonial power receded, another loomed on the horizon. What followed was a brutal and complex conflict, the Philippine-American War. For over 3 centuries, the Philippines had endured Spanish rule, a time marked by oppression and inequality. But the winds of revolution had already begun to stir in the late 19th century. By 1896, Filipino nationalists, led by figures like Andres Bonifacio and Emilio Aguinaldo, launched the Philippine Revolution, demanding independence. Victory seemed within reach when the United States entered the Spanish-American War in 1898 and defeated Spain in the Battle of Manila Bay. Filipinos saw the U.S. as an ally, a beacon of democracy that would support their aspirations for freedom. But the Treaty of Paris, signed in December 1898, changed everything. Spain ceded the Philippines to the U.S. for $20 million. For Filipino revolutionaries, this was a betrayal. Their dreams of independence were now overshadowed by a new foreign power. On February 4, 1899, tensions boiled over. A skirmish between American and Filipino forces near Manila ignited the Philippine-American War. What began as a conventional war quickly transformed into a guerrilla conflict, as Filipino forces, outmatched by American firepower, relied on ambushes, raids, and their intimate knowledge of the terrain to challenge the occupiers. Under the leadership of Emilio Aguinaldo, the first president of the Philippine Republic, Filipinos fought valiantly for their sovereignty. Aguinaldo declared, "We must defend our independence and secure the sacred rights of our people." But the United States, committed to its policy of expansionism, framed the war as a mission to civilize and Christianize the islands, despite the fact that most Filipinos were already Christian. The war was brutal and devastating. American forces employed scorched earth tactics, destroying villages and crops to root out guerrilla fighters. In some areas, entire communities were burned to the ground. The infamous water cure, a form of torture, was used against Filipino prisoners to extract information. For the Filipino people, the war brought immense suffering, disease, famine, and widespread loss of life. Historians estimate that between 200,000 and 500,000 Filipino civilians died during the conflict, many from starvation and disease. The Balangiga massacre in 1901 was one of the war's most infamous incidents. After Filipino guerrillas killed American soldiers in the town of Balangiga, the U.S. military retaliated with overwhelming force, leaving a trail of destruction and death in their wake. The capture of Emilio Aguinaldo in 1901 marked a turning point in the war. After being captured by American forces, Aguinaldo swore allegiance to the United States, effectively ending organized resistance. However, sporadic fighting continued in remote regions for years, as some Filipinos refused to surrender their fight for freedom. In 1902, the U.S. officially declared the war over, establishing a colonial government in the Philippines. The islands would remain under American rule until 1946, when the Philippines finally achieved independence. But the scars of the Philippine-American War lingered, scars of a people's struggle for self-determination and the high human cost of imperial ambition. For the United States, the war was a moment of reckoning. It highlighted the contradictions of a nation founded on principles of liberty and democracy engaging in imperial conquest. For the Filipino people, it was a painful chapter in their long journey toward independence, a chapter written in sacrifice, resistance, and resilience. Today, the Philippine-American War serves as a reminder of the complexities of history. It challenges us to reflect on the costs of imperialism and the enduring spirit of a people who, despite overwhelming odds, never gave up their fight for freedom. The echoes of that struggle continue to inspire movements for justice and sovereignty around the world.